Council for Children's Rights learns about, connects with, and advocates for the whole child. So many of the kids that find themselves in contact with juvenile court are kids that a lot of other people and a lot of other systems have already given up on.
I had got out of school, I was getting in trouble, Garinger couldn't handle me, and so they put me in day treatment at behavioral health. Well, that didn't work because I was still angry.
Well, kids are just that. They're kids. Just like all of us, they are sad at times, they are angry, and sometimes they aren't expressing those emotions like adults would like them to.
Most of the kids, frankly, that I interact with in juvenile court present similarly to how Alexis did. Hurting, angry, distrustful, fighting to be heard.
Something that I have seen on countless occasions is a child who is in the room with a lot of adults. And everyone in the room is talking about that child, but they're talking with one another and not engaging the child, not asking the child what they need. And so a lot of adults are making decisions about their lives, really important decisions, where they're going to live, if they're gonna live with their siblings, where they're gonna go to school. Those are major decisions.
As a society, we have all of these safety nets in place. The hope is that when a child falls through one, they'll be caught by another. So what the school district is doing to address mental health concerns, to address children experiencing foster care is one set of solutions. What Health and Human Services is doing is another set of services. What that logic misses is the fact that these children are still falling. When a child reaches counsel, they have already experienced the worst of the worst.
Over 70% of those kids have experienced traumatic events and are suffering from toxic stress associated with homelessness, poverty, food insecurity, community violence, family violence.
And this is often their last chance to be caught.
Council for Children's Rights meets children where they are, and oftentimes it's in a moment of crisis and chaos. We're providing services, legal services, social work services, policy advocacy and reform, a comprehensive array of services that meet the children where they are today, but also provide for interventions and problem solving for the systems that are interacting in their lives to make real and meaningful change.
Research shows that kids who've experienced trauma really need three things for healing and for hope. They need safety in the form of psychological safety. They need connection and they need agency. Psychological safety really means being in a place and around people who really respect my human dignity, being heard, and having my feelings and my needs honored.
When I first met Heather, she was another worker, just coming and going. That's what I was used to.
She starts pacing around the conference table, very angry and just pacing. And I remember sitting there being like, didn't really learn this in law school.
I think in order to have psychological safety, you need, one, an environment in which you feel like you are safe from physical harm, from emotional harm, and an environment in which you feel like you can thrive.
Do you even care about what's going on? Do you know anything about me?
Are you gonna actually do something for me? And it really made me think about what this role is and why she was asking that, and to make sure that our relationship and what we were going to do was going to be different.
So within Mecklenburg County, we know that over a third of adults are housing cost burdened. That means that they're paying 30% or more of their income on rent. In order to feel secure, you not only need to have mental health services, you also need a place to live.
Being heard is the most critical part of the relationship that we can bring when we are engaging with a child.
What counsel does is takes the experiences of children and puts them in front of the correct audience. So for some of our children, that means that we're voicing their concerns to a judge. For other children, it means that we're voicing their concerns to a school board.
She was there. She actually listened and like, all right, this is what we're gonna do. She didn't judge me by papers.
The attorneys and the social workers and the staff at the council really have certain common core traits. And I think probably at the core of that is their ability to really connect with the humanity of each and every individual that they encounter and to really just meet people where they are.
We have the privilege of oftentimes building a connection with them. However, that connection is not guaranteed. It has to be built.
The children that we serve, their parents have had a lot of trauma themselves. So the adults in their lives, unfortunately, aren't necessarily able to be there for them when they need them the most.
They have people who's in charge tell you, no, you got yourself there, or you took me away from my mom. My dad molested me. What am I supposed to do after this? Come live with you guys?
She didn't know why she was being blamed for the things that she was struggling with.
And even if they're not ready to trust me at that point, letting them know I will always be here, I will be a listening ear, and I will be the one talking to the other adults if you want me to be in those difficult circumstances.
People don't understand. The small things matter too. You know, just having someone believe in you. Think about it, my whole life I had to fight to explain myself to people who were supposed to get it. That's what they went to school for.
And then I think the third thing is agency, which is a hard thing, you know, in the traditional court system. How do I actually give some power and some control over the process and the decision making to this child so that everything isn't about them without them?
Agency for a child just means that their voice is being heard.
Agency is ensuring that a child restores the power that they have in their life to make choices, in knowing that they are going to have an opportunity to voice what's most important to them.
They are zealous advocates, which they should be. We need advocates who are willing to say to the state, you can't do that, who are willing to say to a judge, that's illegal, you know, who are willing to stand up and who are also willing to sit down with child serving agencies and partners to kind of figure out meaningful solutions to some of the big problems that our community faces.
Everything that came out of her mouth was so true, and people just didn't want to be told that they were failing her.
Imagine if I didn't have her. Who would listen to me? I would just be another angry black young little girl, probably. You know what I'm saying?
This work is very personal to me. I think we all can connect to a moment we've had in our childhood where things were not great, where you really wanted something to be different. And if someone just stood next to you and looked out for you, it would be different.
And we are so fortunate, and our children are so fortunate to have the resources and the passion and the optimism and the tirelessness that the attorneys and the staff at the Council for Children's Rights bring with them to their work every day, anywhere that a child needs an adult to elevate their voice.
Our organization serves about 200 children in foster care every year, but there are about 15,000 children in foster care across North Carolina every year.
In the state's eyes, the number of children in foster care is a statistic. When we are working with a child in foster care, we are looking at that individual child and their needs.
For children who have experienced foster care, about 34% will experience homelessness by the age of 21.
Definitely a stigma that nonprofits are supposed to do more with even less. And after the pandemic, nonprofits are experiencing less, but we are called to do more, and we want to do more, and there are more children to be served.
In 2020, we had about 550 clients that our mental health team saw. In 2023, we had about 1,100.
And with more resources, we have the ability not only to intervene in that one individual child's life, but to sit down with the stakeholders in this community and really solve for earlier points of intervention so no child has to live the life that our children are living right now.
Over the years, we've given thousands of children the opportunity to decide what they want their life to look like after high school.
To improve the outcomes of children experiencing foster care, we're working not only to improve the law as it exists, but to create new laws to better serve them.
There's just nothing else like this. Not just in Charlotte, but in the state. I'm not aware of anything like what the Council for Children's Rights does anywhere in the country.
She was my shoulder to cry on when my own family didn't love me. If it wasn't for Heather, I probably wouldn't be here, and that's real.